If you're interested in getting your replays analyzed, please read my pinned comment below. Thank you and enjoy the video. So far, nothing too much to say. You've made decent decisions from kickoff until now. Yes, I could nitpick some things, but overall, it's been good. The problem here is that you approach the ball head on, which limits your angle on the ball, which in turn limits your options. You need to approach the ball from a wider angle. Example. By taking a wider approach to the ball, we're able to take a shot on net a lot easier. Whenever you want to rotate behind your mate, you should take an approach that gives you the best viewing angle of the opponents. The problem is that you rotate behind your mate too laterally and close, so when you turn around, you ultimately have no idea how the opponents are going to tackle that ball in the air. Example. So here we create distance between ourselves and mate by tugging the wool. Doing this gives us greater vision on the opponent and how they will approach the ball. Not sure what even happened here. You miss your touch, but you react quickly enough to take a touch, but the opponent double commit. Strange sequence of play, but it appears to have worked out. Here you go, but then you break, and you kill your momentum. This quite clearly shows a bit of hesitancy, which is normal, but you need to make a decision and stick to it. It's either you back off or you get really close and anticipate the clear from the opponent on the wall. You will make mistakes, but that's how you learn. Hesitating will just hinder you from progressing. Nothing much you could do there, just a poor kickoff from mate. This is usually a left-sided speed flip kickoff. You speed flip using the right side, which took a bit of time to set up and execute, resulting in an erratic kickoff. It's usually possible to speed flip right-sided from this kickoff perfectly fine, but I would suggest learning getting comfortable speed flipping left-sided too. Alright, a couple of things here. Firstly, this double commit is on your mate. How do we know? Well, from his POV, he can see you, but you can't see him. Example. Opponent POV. As you can see, he can see you, but doesn't opt out on the challenge. Secondly, you go for this ball because you were ball watching. If you paid attention to the opponent's car, you would have noticed that he's going for another touch. Seeing this wouldn't have made you jump in the first place. Good speed recovery to get back and defense. Good cover. Good that you position behind mate here and not wandering into mid. Whenever your mate has a bad kickoff, you should still cheat but do a slow cheat. Oftentimes, when someone has a bad kickoff, it results in an unpredictable kickoff, so cheating slowly is often best. Good patience and shot. So far, you're playing really well. Whenever you go for a kickoff, you should pay attention to whether the opponent's mate is going for boost. This is really important because it'll tell you how to approach the kickoff. In this example, you approach the ball head on, which isn't necessarily bad, but it's more of an autopilot type of kickoff. This results in the ball falling towards the opponent's mate. Here, what you need to do is notice that the opponent's mate is going for boost and then angle your car so you cover the ball going to the left side. Example. So here, we approach the kickoff in a way to prevent it from traveling to the opponent's mate in their corner boost. Not sure why you're going for back boost here. You just took mid boost, so you just needed to get yourself into the play by getting ready for mate's boom. This is on you because you flipped during the point of contact by the opponent. Don't do this because as shown here, you immediately try to adjust when the animation stops, but you bump mate in doing so. Good rotation here. I like how you took a bad touch and the ball is a bit awkward, so you space out your car to reposition and not force a play. This is good. A bit of a poor 50 here. You should start practicing break 50s. They're really easy but super effective, especially in the champ ranks where everyone just likes to hard challenge blindly. Example. As the opponent comes closer to challenge, we break to create distance and simply jump after they've taken a touch to get a favorable 50. Mate should have dealt with that ball there, not on you. Not sure what you were trying to do here, but since mate is low boost, it would be understandable if you wanted to boom, carry this ball away so your mate can get boost and follow up. However, the way you approach this ball isn't correct. It's common in champ rank to approach the ball by air rolling so their car is the right way up and then they flip. This isn't necessarily bad, but the issue is that you lose time and a little bit of boost trying to adjust the car until it's correctly aligned and then you flip. Instead, learn to approach the ball backwards and then flip. This way, it's much more efficient and quicker. Example. As you can see, we approach the aerial backwards to not lose any momentum to the ball and are able to get a decent clear. Here, we just hesitate with our decision making. It looked like you wanted to hit the ball away, but then you decided to keep possession. But at that time, you lost your way on how to control the ball. You just need to decide and stick with it. If it turns out to be bad in the end, then we can learn from it. Don't go for boost here. Opponent hits the ball on the wall and leaves the play, and I think it sets you up nicely for a strong shot on net. The problem with going for boost is you'll let them take corner boost and also let them make a play. Example. Instead of taking boost, we focus on the ball and try to pop a shot on net. Alright, so here we get beat to the ball and it wasn't necessarily because of your position, but rather your takeoff was just a bit too slow. It seems like you hesitated with the aerial because the ball was a little bit over your head and your car was traveling at moderate speed on the ground, so you felt that if you fast aerialed, you'd fly past the ball. This is a common problem with mechanics at Champ and even GCs, those that are not mechanical, which is they fast aerial every high ball with boost held down on the initial jump. This doesn't work when the ball is over your head slightly because you'll likely overshoot or undershoot your aerial. The play is to jump normally with no boost, tilt, and then immediately jump and boost. This ensures you don't miss the ball whilst maintaining your speed. Example. Here, we jump with no boost, tilt, and immediately jump and boost. With this, we can get a clean beat to the opponent. This is a good challenge, but you needed to do it a bit sooner. Not because you will miss this challenge, but to make your intentions clear to your mate as soon as possible. Here, you delay your challenge to the point where your mate might not know if you're going or not, and that might result in a double commit. Example. By challenging really early, it becomes easier for your mate to position. You needed to follow mate closely so that when he hits the ball against the wall, you can follow it up. This is the best way to prevent pressure, even if you both have low boost. Leaving the ball in midfield to go and get boost is dangerous simply because you allow them to make a play on you. And even with 100 boost, it doesn't mean you won't get outplayed. But if you follow mate closely and follow up the ball, they can't make a play on you. Example. Here, we stay in the play, and even with low boost, we manage to get a shot on net. This isn't bad, but I think it would have been much more effective to demo the opponent, grab mid boost, and then go up and play the ball. Don't do this. When you have no boost on the wall, it's oftentimes just not worth jumping and flipping on the ball. It's very difficult to generate speed and it's going to get saved. But worst of all, it's going to take you longer to recover and get back. This is incorrect pathing. I understand that you're trying to get back into the play, which is good, but you're doing this at the expense of not getting any boost. You just needed to path through mid pads and get behind mate. That's it. Good pop clear. Good 50. Good that you don't go for boost and play the ball instead. Don't flip when the opponent or anyone is about to make contact with the ball. Here, if you didn't flip, you could have taken control of this ball. Example. By not flipping during contact of the ball, we can comfortably regain possession here. Here, it looked like you were waiting for mate to demo or bump the opponent, and in turn, you break, but then you got beat. You simply just had to not break and continue to shadow normally, and if mate demos, you can just turn around and pick up the ball. This isn't bad, but I think you would have had greater success if you went up the wall and just taken a shot instead. This is because we knew that the opponent was likely to boom into the corner, so positioning towards the wall is logical. Example. So here, as you can see, we go up the wall and we just take a shot directly on net. Try to practice your wall corner reads. The moment it hits the corner, you could have backflipped off the wall and it would have stopped the ball. Again, try to learn to aerial backwards and then flip. Good aerial clear, not abusing air roll. You shouldn't be trying to hit this ball on net. Firstly, there's an opponent sitting in net. Secondly, you won't be able to generate any kind of power. And thirdly, even if you hit it to the backboard, your mate won't be there to follow it up. Instead, you could go up and try a control touch so you can follow it up and try to 50. Didn't have to flip and give the ball away here. Could have kept the ball along the wall and tried to maintain possession. The back wall and the corners are considered safe zones. Don't be afraid to keep the ball there. Big mistake. The moment you position for the pass and your mate doesn't pass, but rather takes a shot, you should have rotated behind him. You can't follow up the ball like the way you did here. You're chasing a fast moving ball from behind and the opponent is coming to the ball from the front. The opponent is always going to reach there in time before you. This is a bit confusing. You see the opponent aerialing for the ball from a decent distance away, and you know that the only direction the ball is heading towards is your left side. But we're turning right. This should be a simple read of the card behavior and is definitely needed to reach GC. Example. Here we can see the opponent is hitting to the left, so we follow it and take a quick shot on net. Quite annoying that mate takes this ball, but it is what it is. This is just not great car awareness of the opponent. You needed to notice that the car was going down the ramp, which means that a boom is going to happen. With that information, you tend to cover net much more quickly. Okay, so for final considerations, the viewer has requested for me to answer a few questions. And the first question is going to be, how can I reach GC as fast as possible? Now, there's no secret formula to get GC, but what I will say, if I could give just one piece of advice, is to stay in the play as much as possible. I know I've said this many, many times in many videos, but I can't stress enough just how important it is to maintain pressure in Rocket League. The game is all about maintaining that pressure, suffocating the opponent by giving them no chance of getting boost, and then punishing them when they have no boost. The problem is that a lot of champs and even GCs, they tend to stray away from the play, which then allows the opponent to regroup and to apply pressure on you. So my advice would be to stay in the play as much as possible. Try to be as aggressive as possible. Sometimes you'll have teammates where they are just very passive. If you have a teammate that's very passive and they're just not following up on your plays, then it might be best to also take your time with challenges and just kind of like fake challenge a bit more so that they can kind of play off you. Otherwise, if you're really aggressive and your teammate just doesn't have the mechanics to keep up with you, then you're fighting a losing battle. So sometimes you do need to adapt to what your teammates' capabilities is like. So that's going to be my advice for reaching GC. All right, so for the second question, they are saying that when the ball is in the air, some people use normal air roll, but some pros say directional air roll is better. Why and when should I use it? I just use it in speed flips and when I take the reset from the wall, but when the ball is in the air, I don't. All right, so for normal air roll, I would say that I personally don't use normal air roll at all. I just use air roll left and air roll right permanently. What I would suggest is you can use normal air roll for like recoveries. Sometimes they are slightly better than directional air roll when you want to just slightly adjust for a certain type of recovery. They can be used for that. Otherwise, just use directional air roll for everything. You say why? Why? Because you have better adjustment. You can have better micro movements. And when should I use it? All the time. Just use it permanently, just as a thing that you use to move your car around. That's basically my answer for this question. Okay, so here we have a few questions left to answer, and then that should wrap up the video. So they say, what should I add to my gameplay? What am I missing? I mean, based on what we've analyzed so far, you have a really good like core foundation to your game. What I will say is, I will definitely say one thing you need to improve on is your decision making. So what that means is, um, when you should go for the ball and shoot, you go for boost. When you go for an aerial and try to hit on target, you should have taken a control touch instead. When you go for the ball, you should have demoed instead. So just these kind of like decision making situations, I think, is definitely the biggest thing. Mechanically, I would say learning to aerial off the wall backwards and being comfortable to reach the ball instead of having to air roll every single time to align your car. That could be a mechanical advice too. Is your positioning generally? I think more for the most part, your positioning was pretty good. You stayed behind mate when you needed to. So positioning, I don't think there was too many issues with positioning. During my gameplay, sometimes I close or open my ball cam too much. Is that okay? I don't think I noticed you closing or opening your ball cam too much. So I don't think that was a problem. So I don't think that's an issue. Are there any mechanics I should learn to reach GC? Mechanics, the the only thing you should learn, well, not the only thing, but the biggest thing every single player needs to learn is to have full 360-degree control of their car. So this means being able to be backwards, sideways, 45-degree sideways, upside down, just whatever it might be comfortable in every single situation so that you don't experience any of those blackout moments. This is super important because this will allow you to be super aggressive, but also deal with those very awkward balls over your head, and it will feel like it's not a big deal to you. That's something I would recommend for every single level of Rocket League, is to master your car control to the fullest extent. And this also means mastering both directional air rolls, not just left. Although some people do say left is enough or right is enough. For me, you need to master both. If you master both, I think it'll put you one step ahead of everyone else. And then once you have a good 360-degree control of your car, learning any mechanic after that becomes super easy. So if you've never ever learned Musty, but you have insane car control and aerial car control, just like you're able to control your car really well in the air, and you start learning musty, you'll be able to learn the musty so quickly because your aerial car control is already really good. You know exactly how to handle every angle. So that's what I would say. Not to necessarily reach GC, just to reach GC, GC2, 3, SSL, anywhere, no matter what level, it's always going to be really good. So yeah, that's going to wrap up the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.